My name is Alana Burrell. I'm a student at College of Charleston studying biology, and we are reintroducing some Canby's Dropwort into this private forest in Hugie, South Carolina. And I think there are 19 existing populations of this plant, so it's very rare. It likes to be in wetlands and it likes fire disturbance. So today we're doing the prescribed burn to get the habitat ready for the plants.
These wetland ecosystems are habitat for a lot of different rare plants and animals. And so reaching out through colleagues, we started to get really interested in Canby's Dropwort. What we're really interested in is how wet does a wetland need to be for it to provide good habitat, how open and sunny, and how do we create that open, sunny habitat? So we can either use fire, which is what a lot of the literature says. It says that this plant requires fire to clear and create sunny habitat to provide nutrients. However, fire is not always a possible tool we can use. Sometimes we need to take alternative approaches. So we're really interested to try weed whacking. Is that an alternative approach? Can we just knock the brush back and still provide a lot of the benefits that a prescribed fire would provide? And so to try to answer that question, we took two wetlands very close to one another, very similar in many ways, burned one, didn't burn the other, and we planted out these young plants in both. A secondary question we had was that there was variation. Some of the plants we were planting were really big, some of the plants were quite small. Does the success of these propagules depend on their vigor, how large they were when we planted them? That's another question. So we randomized based on a size structure where we were planting different plants. And we chose to plant these plants not just randomly in the wetlands, but along gradients. So we went from the wettest part of the wetland to the driest. And the goal there is to really try to figure out what kind of moisture habitat does this plant really prefer. One cool thing about the plant is it will spread asexually. It will send out its rootlets underground and become new plants, new clones. My name is Dan McGlinn. I'm Associate Professor of Biology at College of Charleston. I'm an ecologist, and my research is primarily driven by trying to understand where organisms occur, why they occur there, and how we can use that information to better manage our ecosystems. Our job today is to examine which plants are alive, which ones are dead, how much they've grown. We don't expect to find any plants flowering yet, but there's a possibility some might flower this fall. But yeah, really we're here to kind of examine both wetlands. This is the wetland that was burned, and we will tell you in a few minutes. We'll know how the plants are doing.
This one is 22D, and I think this one is dead.
Dead? Okay. This plant's alive.
Oh, this one's alive. This one looks really happy.
Nice.
It is out of the water.
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 stems.
Overall high survivorship in both wetlands, but a slightly higher amount in the burned wetland. And as we follow it through time, we'll see if that persists or it becomes stronger. Certainly, the burned wetland might, with the recent hurricane, become too wet. For many of the plants we saw that were dead, they were under quite a few centimeters of water. These ones in this slightly drier wetland might be actually doing better, even though they haven't been burned. This is a test tube for a pitfall trap. So we have a piece of PVC in the ground, and this is to collect any kind of ground-dwelling arthropods, primarily ants. So we fill it up with a preservative, and we just put it in at ground level. And any animal that's crawling around on the ground will fall in, and we'll collect and identify and count, measure the amount of biomass to see if wetlands are different from their upland habitats in terms of which species occur there, how many of those species there are, and their conservation importance. One thing we don't have is big charismatic plants, but we didn't necessarily expect those because the plants were fairly young still at this point. So we're coming back. We are finding a few of them, and we're going to go ahead and measure their growth. But this will probably be our only dormant season survey, I expect, and then wait until spring comes when we expect to see fresh growth.
and maybe start to consider an additional above ground disturbance. As you can see, this ecosystem is pretty shady for these little plants because there's so much growth from the grasses that are in this wetland. How tall is 11C? He was 14 last time.
Height of this one is 15 centimeters.
15, grew a centimeter.
I don't see any clones.
Just one stem.
Just one stem.
It is 39D2.
D2. Height is around 8 centimeters, actually. No, it's let's say 9.
Okay, grew a centimeter.
9 centimeters, one stem.
We've measured soil moisture in two different ways. One is just to measure the depth of the water. As you can see today, there's no depth. The other way we use is to put a probe in the ground that measures the electrical current between the two electrodes to get a sense of that estimate of soil moisture. And both are helpful in different ways to get a sense of the hydrology of the site. The main reason we decided to not burn this site is because in a lot of conservation settings, fire is just not possible. We know that this plant likes sunny environments, and we need to find other ways to create a sunny, productive environment for this plant that aren't just burning. And so the natural idea is to mow or to weed whack an area, and that's what we've tried here. And so far, we've seen some decent success. And so in areas maybe that are too close to a neighborhood or where smoke might be detrimental or dangerous, this might be an alternative method. That's what our research is trying to hope to show, is that there's an alternative methods to developing and restoring these sites.
The middle one,
27B.
yeah, it has died.
And then nothing at 22B.
Yeah. Let's see, 321D, definitely alive.
You said none for the middle one?
Yeah. So we did the burn just a little bit over a year ago. We did it last June. It's June 3rd today. Everything's looking really good. The plants are doing awesome. They've grown a lot. I've noticed that some have grown a lot more than others, but we had a couple plants that were a little over 1 meter tall, so that's really exciting. Jeff said that he could see a couple of them possibly flowering this summer, which is really cool. They're not cloning a ton quite yet, so hopefully that starts to happen in the next year or two. Start getting some more stems out there, but so far they're doing really well.
So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we basically got 3 transects, and what we did in each one was we stratified big, medium, small plant. Big, medium, small. And we randomized the order. And so this is the dry. And then this is going to go moist as we go in. Now we're in August and it's very wet here. These are variable habitats, and we do have flowering and seeds on our Canby's Dropwort, our endangered plant that we reestablished, so we're really excited about that. Is this the end of the story? No. We have to keep monitoring these, and then ideally we would collect the seeds, germinate them, and spread these plants to other nearby wetlands. Of course, with this endangered plant, there's also management. So this site will have to be burned periodically to keep woody plants from encroaching on this wetland and to maintain the habitat of this threatened plant.